So I'm Shubra Kathuria, and I lead Metaverse and Web3 innovation services at EY. Ernst & Young, it's a global management consulting firm. And I'm very fortunate to work with several big brands across industries, consumer products, financial services, automotive, and healthcare, in helping them transition from Web 2 to Web 2.5. For now, Web 2.5, that's the interim state. And I also very heavily focus on human engagement strategies for Metaverse and Web3. So if any of you here are interested in that space, focus in that space, I'd love to connect subsequently as well. All right, with that, I want to make these next 10 minutes very productive for each of you here. So I want to hear from you on what you perceive about the Metaverse. So my very first question is, and if you could just share with me with a show of hands, if you could raise your hand, how excited or optimistic are you about the Metaverse? Do you think Metaverse will bring a lot of opportunities? All right, that's good level of optimism, okay. And how many of you are skeptical about the Metaverse and you feel that technology is just a hype and it will die down soon? Anybody here who feels skeptical about Metaverse? All right, that's brave. Thank you for sharing. And I understand your perspective. So the great thing is we are just at the scratching, and we're basically just scratching the surface of Metaverse. So I can totally understand your concerns around this, and I'm hoping in the next 10 minutes, the needle will move slightly more towards the optimistic side. All right, so with that, let's dive straight into the numbers. So if we can go to the next slide, please. All right, so the key thing to note here is that Metaverse is not distant future. It already exists. There are 400 million monthly average users of the Metaverse worlds right now. And who are these people? These are primarily the next generation, the Gen Z and Gen Alpha, that are already visiting these worlds every day and spending 40% of their time in these worlds, not just to play the games on Fortnite or Roblox, but to actually hang out with their friends in these worlds, even if that friend is their next door neighbor. And that psyche is important to understand, because just like us, many of us here who are millennials, we were so used to digital technologies and we expected digital to be a key part of our lives. This next generation, these are Metaverse natives, and they will expect to work, play, learn, socialize in the Metaverse in the next several years. And then many of us as well, we would be spending close to 1 hour per day in the Metaverse, especially with a lot of the use cases that businesses are focusing on currently. And we'll talk about those in a bit. Okay, so what is the Metaverse? I avoid putting a definition. I like to really talk about it in terms of how we're going to experience the Metaverse. So a case in point here is how we access the information today. Today, when we need to access any information, we would go to the web page. We would look at what's available. So for example, you want to buy a pair of shoes. You look through those shoes. You'll pick the one you like. You'll add it to your cart and purchase. With the Metaverse, though, how our lives would change. We'll not just be looking at those websites. We will be participating in those websites. So this is just an example of a person walking into a store, an immersive 3D store. In future, we'll hopefully have like a photorealistic version of those folks. And as they walk, those shoes would start to appear on them. And then they know how they look. And if they have a question, they could just go stop by and ask a customer rep. Or if they want to invite their friend, they could just bring them in for collaborative shopping and get direct feedback. And well, once you purchase, the shoe will get delivered to your home, just like it gets done today. But in addition, a digital copy of that would also get delivered to your digital wallet. And that would be a memory, a receipt of that transaction. And that's exactly where Web3 plays a key role. So what is Web3? We often hear the word Metaverse and Web3 alongside, and both are really the next evolution of the internet. The way I like to think about them is that they are different. Metaverse is the front end. It's more of the immersive, virtual, 3D-oriented or experiential-oriented form of the internet, while Web3 is the back end. It is, if we have to draw any parallels to how we work today, today we have a lot of centralized databases. You go to Google, YouTube, they have their own databases, own infrastructure, and they are very much manning that. But with Web3, that infrastructure comes into the public, or it could still be private, but the great thing is, it is built on blockchain where multiple parties can come together, collaborate, whether it's companies, individuals, they can collaborate, and that's how individuals get empowered, and we in future are able to own many assets through that back-end technology. Well, the good thing is, Metaverse doesn't need necessarily the Web3 backend. You can very much have a Metaverse on a centralized database or on a decentralized technology, which would then just add a lot more powerful use cases, especially at the intersection of those two. Okay, so how do we access the Metaverse? A question that often comes up is, do we need a headset to access? The good news is, not necessarily. It really depends on the use case. We do, yes, for several years have been using virtual headsets to get immersed in a different world. When we wear them, we might feel like, hey, we are on a beach. We might be walking on moon. We might get trained to do CPR on folks. Or we could be leveraging that same type of capability through browser-based environments. And this is what is driving the maximum adoption of Metaverse. So the great thing with browser technologies, or it could be app, is that you're still very much connected to your physical reality. You still see the physical space. But at the same time, you don't have to wear a headset, and you can access these immersive 3D worlds through your laptops or your phones, just like how gamers access their games today. And as I said, that's really driving maximum adoption of this technology because there is no added problems or disadvantages of using any headset. Augmented reality, of course, is another great way to experience the metaverse. This is where you can, as you can see in the picture, the person is just pointing the phone and is able to see how a couch would look in his living room. So you're essentially overlaying digital elements to your physical environment. Okay, how are businesses going to leverage the metaverse? And this is where we start to see a lot of interesting use cases emerge. I like to take a persona-based lens here. Businesses have to cater to different audience stakeholders. They have to drive efficiencies for them. They have to create better experiences for them. And that includes their customers, their employees, their partners, operators, investors, and many other stakeholders. So let's take a look at each of these and dive into some relevant use cases that we're already seeing in the market or would likely emerge in the future. Customers. So how can businesses leverage the metaverse to better engage with their customers? There are a lot of different ways. On this slide, what we are really focusing on are the net new monetization opportunities for the businesses. That includes new products, new experiences, new business models. These beautiful furniture pieces that you see here, they sold for literally $5,000 a piece, which is like 4 lakh INR a piece, not to decorate people's physical homes, but to decorate people's virtual homes. And that's important. Once again, that's the psyche. Gen Z, they spend 40% of their time in these virtual worlds. So it matters to them what skins, what accessories, what furniture they carry in those virtual worlds, and they're willing to pay for it. New experiences, especially during COVID, we saw a lot of different celebrities, Daler Mehndi, Travis Scott, Paris Hilton. They were still able to connect with their fans because they conducted a lot of those events or concerts through the metaverse and were able to monetize those experiences. New business models, Forever 21, a leading clothing store in US. The great thing about them is that they're encouraging their fans to create Forever 21 stores in the virtual worlds like Roblox. And not just create the stores, but also sell merchandise, Forever 21 merchandise created by those fans in those stores. Again, a fantastic way for the brand to increase awareness of Forever 21 brand, as well as monetize through selling much more products created by their own fans. Okay, let's take a look at an interesting example. This is the experience that Walmart created on Roblox. About 5 million people visited this, and it also helped increase Walmart's brand affinity by 10% in their target audience. Can we play the video, please? Thank you. That certainly gave me a good feeling. Hope you got one too. Okay, let's look at a few more customer use cases. Now, Metaverse could also be used purely as a channel to increase the revenue or sales of your current products. It could be used as a 3D immersive store, so just another different way to sell your products. It could be your marketing channel. The future of marketing is community. You'll see more and more brands build direct communities with their fans. And that's how they will be able to engage with them better. We're already seeing a lot of great traction in the market with brands like Adidas. Support channel, one of my favorites. I think this is an area which is a huge challenge for many companies. Many companies are struggling to figure how to best offer the right support as well as onboarding experience for its customers. This is a huge pain point for customers. I'm sure many of us in the room here dread calling a customer support number, and Metaverse can really elevate that experience. I'll share with you on the next slide a proof of concept that we have developed to showcase how that experience can be enhanced through the Metaverse. And lastly, the product testing channel. Before you really launch a product in the market, it's a great way to test it out, whether it's even going to run or not, by creating a version of that for the virtual world. For example, like Balenciaga does A/B testing of its clothes through the Metaverse. Okay, let's take a look at that contact center in the Metaverse video.
Welcome to the Chicago Telco Metaverse Contact Center. I am your host, Aksharika Raja, and I will be showing you around this space today. You can come to this space to resolve any issues you're facing with your telecom provider. The first thing I'm going to do is walk up to an aisle that pertains to my problem and reserve a spot in the line. Now that my spot is reserved, I can walk around the space until I'm notified that a representative is ready for me. I can look at the FAQs to see if I can have my question answered sooner, get entertained in the play zone, or continue my shopping in the shop zone. And when it's time to speak to my representative, I can be teleported to the aisle to get my problems answered. Here, I can share my screen to present my problem to the representative, or even use my video to illustrate my problem better. Once I'm done, I'm going to head over to the exit zone where I can provide feedback on my experience. Thank you so much for joining us in the Metaverse today.
All right, so this is a great way to put power back in the hand of customers, where customers can decide what their problem is and go and put themselves in the right queue and can have a more human-to-human interaction. Again, a use case that is getting great traction with telecom and utility firms. All right, and then next key stakeholder here is employees. Companies are leveraging Metaverse to recruit, train, onboard their employees. A case in point here is my own team. We are a geographically distributed large team across North America and Latin America. And for us, it's hard to bond as a team unless we meet in person. And to avoid all of that time and cost of meeting in person, we decided to create our own virtual office in the Metaverse. We've been working in that for the last 2 years straight, and it has been game-changing. Take a look at our office.
At EY Wavespace, our team has a virtual office.
We have individual spaces, meeting rooms, where we come together as a team, and we also bump into each other to have water cooler conversations. We stay productive through whiteboarding and screen sharing capabilities. And we also exchange ideas and create designs on the fly.
Working in our virtual office, I can look around and see who's in here today. We meet in here daily for meetings and for check-ins, so if I ever need anything, I can easily walk over to anyone on the team anytime.
All right, that was just a glimpse of it. And lastly, the next stakeholder is partners. So again, companies are very actively leveraging the metaverse for industrial use cases to better connect with their partner ecosystem or create digital twin of their factories, and are seeing a lot of benefits of that already. I'll end it up here in the interest of time, but I'm happy to connect offline. I do want to emphasize here that I'm also one of the executive judges at the International Webby Awards, and I've seen over the last year a lot of interesting ideas from different startups, from different brands. All are some amazing ideas. At the same time, most of them are in the experimentation phase right now. And that's a great opportunity for many of you entrepreneurs in the room to know that this is just the beginning. And it's a great time to enter in the space and continue to build new innovations to make this happen. All right, thanks all. I'm happy to connect on LinkedIn.